In Bihar, what started as a routine update of voter list has now turned into a major national controversy. The Election Commission of India, whose job is to ensure free and fair elections, began a process called the Special Intensive Revision (SIR) of electoral rolls. On paper, this was just a cleanup exercise to make sure only eligible voters are on the list. But the way it was carried out and the kind of documents people were asked to produce has raised serious questions about fairness, transparency, and even voter rights. This was the first time since 2003 that such a detailed and door-to-door verification was being done in Bihar. The EC, that is the Election Commission, said they wanted to remove names of people who had passed away, moved to another place, or were no longer eligible to vote. For this, booth-level officers were sent to people's homes. They asked residents to submit proof that they were Indian citizens and that they lived in that area. Now, this is where the real trouble began. The documents the EC had asked for were difficult for many ordinary people to provide. Initially, Aadhar cards, voter ID cards, and ration cards were not accepted as valid proof. Instead, the Election Commission wanted things like birth certificates from before 1989, land ownership papers, or old school records. Many poor, migrant, and marginalized people simply don't have this. Imagine a daily wage worker who never went to school, or a woman married into a village far from her birthplace. How are they supposed to show this kind of documents? As expected, this move triggered massive backlash. Opposition parties in Bihar, including the RJD, Congress, CPI-ML, accused the Election Commission of trying to manipulate the voter list before the upcoming elections. They claimed that this process was unfairly targeting the poor, Muslims, Dalits, and tribal communities who are more likely to be missing formal documents. These parties argued that lakhs of people could lose their right to vote even without realizing it. Civil society groups and activists joined in. They warned that this was starting to look a lot like Assam's NRC process, where many people were declared non-citizens because they could not produce old documents, even if they had lived in India all their lives. In Bihar too, the burden was suddenly placed on citizens to prove that they belonged here instead of the government proving that they did not. Activists called it voter deletion by stealth. The Election Commission, on its part, strongly denied these accusations. They said this was a legal exercise under Section 21 of the Representation of People Act. According to them, they were only doing their job, removing names that should not be on the list. The ECI also claimed that out of the 7.3 crore voters in Bihar, only around 35 lakh names were being deleted. Mostly because those people had died, moved away, or were listed twice. The Election Commission insisted that this was not about determining who is a citizen and who is not. Still, the pressure kept mounting. Faced with growing criticism, the Election Commission eventually changed its stance. It agreed to accept Aadhar cards, voter ID cards, and ration cards as valid proof for the SIR process. This move was seen as a small victory by those opposing the revision. But the fears of large-scale voter deletions were still very much alive. The matter soon reached the Supreme Court. Several petitioners, activists, opposition leaders, and concerned citizens asked the court to step in and stop the revision exercise. The Supreme Court did not stop the process, but made some very important observations. It reminded the Election Commission that determining citizenship was not their job. That role belongs to the Ministry of Home Affairs. The court also asked the Election Commission to make the process more inclusive by allowing commonly held documents like Aadhar and photo identity cards. More importantly, the court said that electoral roll revision should not become a backdoor method to verify citizenship. The court's odd words brought some relief to the petitioners, but the case is not yet over. The Supreme Court has asked the Election Commission to submit a detailed explanation by July 21. The next hearing is scheduled for July 28. Until then, the question remains, will this process end up unfairly removing genuine voters from the list? Today, all sides are standing their ground. The Election Commission is fighting to its right to revise the rules and maintain the integrity of elections. The opposition parties are warning about possible political misuse and bias. Civil society is watching closely, worried about how this will affect the most vulnerable. And the Supreme Court is carefully balancing the law, the constitution, and the rights of ordinary voters. What we are seeing is much more than just a democratic process. It's a test of how India handles democracy. On one hand, if such an exercise is not done, there's a real risk that ineligible or even illegal immigrants might continue to vote, thus weakening the sanctity of our electoral rolls. On the other hand, if done carelessly or without empathy, we risk creating a system where the poor and voiceless are quietly removed from the list without even knowing why. Can we keep our elections free, fair and inclusive while also protecting against misuse? That's the delicate balance Bihar is forcing the entire country to confront. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again with another real story, with another real commentary on a topic that affects or has the potential to affect you, me and all of us.